Under the waters of the South China Sea, we see the wreckage of ships that once roamed about in this sea. Shortly, we encounter a monster creature under the sea, and right then, the scene cuts here. Now the scene shifts to an ocean liner moving fast upon the waters of the South China Sea. John Finnegan, the owner of this boat, is navigating the boat in the harsh conditions. He asks Layla how she is doing outside. She gets furious and asks John to come out and help her, as she is soaked out through and through. Due to the heavy rainfall, the radar of the boat begins to act up. Therefore, John orders Joey to go outside and fix the radar. A man named Hanover arrives in the cabin and asks John if there is any problem. John responds, no. Hearing this, Hanover leaves. In the same sea, a posh cruise ship named the Argonautica is seen. This cruise is a mobile heaven for its passengers, as each type of amenities is available that an individual needs here. When all the passengers are busy enjoying the luxury of the ship, Simon Canton, the maker of this cruise ship, arrives there, catching everyone's eye. He welcomes the passengers to the maiden voyage of the Argonautica. Here, Simon tells everyone that it was his dream to build the most expensive and luxurious ship ever built. And tonight, seeing all the boarded passengers, I realize that my dream has come true. After that, all the passengers get engaged in enjoying themselves. Among the wealthy passengers, there is a beautiful woman named Trillian. She bumps into Captain Atherton on purpose, but saying sorry, she leaves. She comes outside and opens Captain Atherton's wallet with no money inside, meaning Trillian is a pickpocket. She flings the wallet into the ocean and hears a monstrous cry emanating from the ocean. Joey comes to a cabin and finds several containers brought by Hanover and his Confederates. He opens one of the containers and finds a missile inside. No sooner he touches the missile than the missile lifts up on its own. Right then, one of Hanover's men shows up there and takes Joey among his other fellows. They begin to beat Joey without taking pity on him. John hears the scream of Joey through his headphones and immediately turns up there by holding a gun. Hanover tells John that Joey was nosing around his cargo, that's why they are beating him. Mason says, we should throw this man overboard. They keep on beating Joey under the nose of John. This forces John to retaliate against them, but Vivo takes Joey at knife point. Hence, John takes Joey and leaves, as he didn't want to create a scene. In the Argonautica, Trillian breaks into the vault and steals a necklace, but soon she is caught red-handed by Simon and Captain Atherton. Simon Canton breaks down her criminal record and tells her that she is wanted by the police for burglary, robbery, and forgery. They lock her in the pantry. On the other hand, Joey tells John that 8 or 9 torpedo missiles are stored in the cargo cabin, and they are enough to sink an aircraft carrier. Joey and Lila get angry with John as he has not charged any money from Hanover for this service. In the Argonautica cruise ship, someone disables the navigation control system of the ship, meaning something very bad is imminent. In the control room, the crew members find that the system is shutting down one by one. Captain Atherton informs Simon that the radar has also broken down. A crew member tells the captain that something colossal is heading toward them at lightning speed. In the next moment, the giant thing strikes the ship, causing it to shake violently. The passengers begin to fall and precious things begin to shatter due to the collision. It creates a stampede among the passengers to save their lives. One of the female passengers hides in the toilet, but she feels something very huge crawling above. Shortly, she is attacked and dragged through the toilet, killing her. John, through the binoculars, spots a speedboat ahead of his boat. John's ocean liner collides into the speedboat, creating an explosion. Soon, the internal parts of the boat catch fire. John arrives in the cargo hold and tells his crew that the starboard bow has got a big hole due to the collision and the fuel is leaking fast. Right then, Layla calls John to have a look at the cruise ship, which is a couple of meters away. John sees the gingerbread ship through the binoculars. Joey advises him that they can find fuel in that ship. Meanwhile, Hanover and his men take over John's ocean liner and say we will steer it from now on. John notices that the cruise ship is not moving at all. However, John, Hanover and his men stormed onto the ship and burst into the restaurant area, but found the interior in utter chaos, tables overturned and chairs scattered, meaning the whole place is banged up. Vivo discovered blood at the scene, alerting everyone present. At the same time, the dumbfounded people find someone coming from the elevator. The doors of the elevator slide open, but no one comes out. John and others see that the walls of the elevator are smeared with blood. All of them come out of the ship and find lifeboats still hanging there. This forces them to think where all the boarded people disappeared. They get inside and begin to look for the missing passengers. Trillian escaped the monster attack because of being locked inside the pantry. She regains her consciousness and finds everything in complete disarray. She gets up and sees that something has passed through the duct pipe like a bolt of lightning. She manages to unlock the door and gets out, freeing herself. On the other hand, Hanover, Mason, and Mulligan enter the operator room of the ship and see that someone had intentionally shut down the whole system before desolating it. T-Ray says that perhaps the passengers abandoned the ship on finding the ship sinking. T-Ray hears a splash in the clogged water, so he begins to look around. Just then, a glimpse of the sea monster is visible above. Following the noise, T-Ray comes to the corridor wading through the clogged water with his gun ready to fire. He hears something howling above. Now, he is convinced completely that there is something very deadly on this ship. He comes close to the pipes and finds something emerging from the water, but shortly, he is dragged into the water by the sea creature. Trillian comes outside, looks around, and tries to understand what really happened there when she was sleeping in. Soon Hanover, Mason, Vivo, and Mulligan burst into the cabin. Hanover takes her at gunpoint and asks her to tell him where the other passengers have gone, or he will pull the trigger. She responds that she was sleeping and she is also one of the passengers. Vivo opens the vault, thinking it would be money there, but Canton unknowingly kills him, considering him to be a threat. Simon apologizes to Hanover for killing his man. John tells Mamuli that there is something down there, but Mamuli doesn't believe his words and asks him to shut his mouth. Right then, Mamuli is knocked down into the clogged water and begins to be dragged around by the creature and ultimately gets killed. John and Joey run from there while the creature is heading towards them, desolating everything in its path. They both keep running and find shelter in a room just in time. Trillian is in an elevator and hears someone or something heading to the elevator. He braces herself and attacks Joey with her sandal, but John pulls her apart. John is bewildered upon finding a woman in this sinking ship. Just then, they hear a rumbling sound overhead. Then Trillian tells John that there is something up there. In a moment, Hanover and his men show up there and blame John and Joey for the killings of Mamuli and T-Ray. Then, John responds that he has not killed anybody. Instead, there is something on this ship that is hunting us. In a while, the whole elevator begins to shake because the creature is wreaking havoc up there. Soon, the lift breaks off and begins to fall down very fast. Down there, all of them find the corridor full of blood and skeletons, and the walls of the corridor were stained with dripping blood, causing all of them to freak out. Right ahead of them behind the door, the monster tries to tear down the door to get in. Hanover and John move to the door, trampling the bones under their feet. They notice that the monster has stopped making movements, but Mason unknowingly crushes the skull under his foot, catching the monster's attention again. The creature begins to pull down the walls, while John and Hanover continue their firing at the walls. They all escape to a safe room to avoid the creature. Captain Atherton reveals that this ship came to a sudden stop after striking a reef or something very huge. All the boarded passengers panicked and began to run around, and it all happened so fast that there was no time to do anything to deal with the situation. Something had jammed the whole system of the ship. Then John says it was not something but someone, as the system was jammed on purpose. John asks Simon to reveal his identity. On this, Simon says, "My name is Simon Canton, and I own this cruise ship." Then John reveals to everyone that it is Simon who had jammed the system of the ship. Captain Atherton asks him why he did all that, as it was his own ship. Then Simon says it cost him $487.6 million. "I plan to sink the ship to claim the insurance money, which would be triple the cost." Just then, the sea monster begins to lurk around Joey, who begins to scream at the sight of the humongous creature. The sea monster appears there with its large tentacles. John starts blasting off the creature, causing it to disgorge Billy, one of mates of Hanover. Billy's body is almost melted inside the creature. John, Hanover, and his men begin to riddle the body of the monster creature with uncountable bullets. They see that the tentacles of the monster are spread all over the ship. One of the tentacles of the monster starts stalking John. The tentacle heightens its hood to devour John, but just in time, Trillian arrives there, shooting the hood, and forces the tentacled creature to pull back. Captain Atherton begins to fall through the hole, but John comes to pull him out, but the captain is swallowed alive by the creature. John and Mulligan dive into the water to find a way out. The monster creature starts coming to this side, but Joey shuts the door just in time. Despite, the tentacled creature breaks the door flying and gets in. Joey and Mason fire at the creature in their defense. Still, Joey dives into the water on finding his firearms not good enough to wipe out the monster. Now, the rest of the people hide in the pantry until the rescue team arrives, yet the creature appears there behind Mulligan, causing everyone to get away. But Mulligan continues his shooting at the creature and causes it to move away. The creature strikes once again, and this time consuming Mulligan entirely. While looking for a way out, John comes across two ways. Simon says the first way out will lead us back into the hold, so we must take that way up. Therefore, all head towards the way up, except Simon, as he takes the first way. John and company reach the end of the way and find the whole area full of butchered people. Seeing the scene, the monster creature seems to have just regurgitated blood, flesh, and bones, which were strewn all around the place. Meaning, Simon had misguided them and sent them into the mouth of death. Meanwhile, the sea monster breaks the hull, causing tons of ocean water to enter the ship. John and Trillian find Simon escaping. Simon blocks the door before they get hold of him. The water flowing at the relentless speed drifts the duo away. In the corridor, Hanover throws a hand grenade at the sea monster, heading towards them. Nonetheless, the sea creature survives the explosion and continues its chase after Hanover and Mamuli. Simon comes out and gets very elated on finding the ship sinking, as that's what he wanted. John and Trillian also escape outside. John finds his own boat near the cruise ship. Inside the cruise ship, Hanover is getting swallowed alive by the monster creature. He tries to make away with himself, but the gun has no bullets. Later, he ends up in the stomach of the sea creature. Simon was about to kill Trillian, but just in time, John arrives there and starts firing, causing Simon to flee. After a little while, the sea creature appears there itself. Both John and Trillian get horrified by the size of the monster creature. The creature grabs John in one of its tentacles and almost eats him, but John shoots the creature straight in its eye, causing the creature to let him go. John rides a speedboat to avoid the monster, while Trillian is sitting behind him. Simon is on John's ocean liner, which is bound to collide with the cruise ship. He tries to stop the boat, but the boat doesn't stop and bumps into the cruise ship, causing a fierce explosion which leads to Simon's death. This explosion not only kills Simon, but also the sea creature. John with Trillian gets out of the burning ship before it is too late. The entire cruise ship explodes in no time. John and Trillian reach an island. They find Joey still alive, which makes John and Trillian very happy, as they thought Joey to be dead. Soon, their happiness is interrupted by the howl of another creature emanating from the island, and with this scene, this movie comes to an end.